Welcome back to Therapy with Tasha. I want to thank you for tuning back in to hear important and useful information that can enhance your life, improve the relationships you have with others, and improve one of the most important relationships you'll ever have, and that's the relationship with yourself. If you didn't know, we are all in relationship with ourselves. So please make sure that your notification bell is on so you're staying in the loop, you're subscribed, and after you've watched this video, go ahead and put that thumbs up. Every Wednesday, you'll have the opportunity to watch a new video that I have released. Today, I want to look at emotions. Have you ever thought about how you manage your emotions, the state of your emotional health, or even how does my emotions, how do they show up in my relationship with others? See, our emotions play a crucial role in the relationships that we have with others, our friends, family, and intimate partners. Your emotions help you make decisions. They influence what actions you'll take, and they help other people understand you. And these are just to name some of the few ways that emotions, the role that they play in our lives. So, what are emotions anyway? Right? Our emotions are conscious mental reactions, and they represent the meaning of what we take away from a given situation. So, for example, if you have the experience of joy due to experiencing something pleasant, or fear if you experience something that feels threatening. So, what happens though when you experience an emotion? When you experience an emotion, your brain will trigger psychological changes within your body. And what that means is your autonomic processes, right? And autonomic processes are processes we don't control. So our breathing, our heart rate, they get altered. And in turn, we will then experience physical feelings or sensations in our body. So let's break this down. You experience fear. That's the emotion. This produces the change in your autonomic processes, and you will then experience a physical sensation in your body. For example, rapid heartbeat. So, keeping what I've mentioned about emotions, I want you to be curious with me today about why someone might suppress their emotions. So let's take a look. Did you know a person who has experienced childhood trauma will struggle with emotional expressions? So adults who have experienced childhood trauma often report that their needs, whether emotional, physical, they were ignored. Their needs were ignored. They were invalidated. They were criticized or neglected. So the child who may have heard crying is a sign of weakness, or it doesn't matter how you feel. In their childhood development, they learned early that emotions, they don't matter. And so additionally, that experience of having their emotions stifle, it negates the practice of expressing emotions or navigating your emotions with someone else. So this adult may likely suppress their emotions as a learned behavior rather than a deliberate attempt to withhold their emotions. Either way though, they're suppressing it. Suppressing your emotions can also serve as a self-protective measure. So you may feel that if someone doesn't know how I feel, then they can't hurt me or use it against me. So if you've been in relationship with others, family, friends, when you've expressed emotions, it has been weaponized against you. Meaning maybe you took the chance and you became vulnerable with your emotions. You expressed something raw, and later it was thrown back in your face or used against you. You may begin to suppress your emotions to avoid being hurt again. Suppressing emotions is also a coping mechanism, which in many ways speaks to what I just mentioned, a self-protective measure. However, in the instance of suppressing emotions to be a coping mechanism, it means you may experience an emotion, but to avoid becoming overwhelmed by the emotion, you consciously or sometimes unconsciously push the feeling down. So you don't have to feel it or acknowledge the role that it's playing. So this may look like you're upset, maybe even fuming inside. But others will see you smiling. So as a coping skill, someone may begin to mask their emotions, which just means that internally the feelings that you are experiencing get masked by an acceptable outward expression. I've also recognized that people can suppress their emotions when they experience shame around the emotions that they experience. So if you experience shame around frequent sadness or frequent anger, you may try to avoid the emotions because you feel embarrassed that others will know you're struggling with feelings you can't control, or maybe shame that others won't understand the emotion. So now that you know why someone may suppress an emotion, you may ask, so why does it matter, right? But suppressing emotions, it actually takes effort, and it can be mentally exhausting. It eventually will take a negative toll on you. And one of the things it does is it increases sympathetic nervous system activity. Now, our sympathetic nervous system is a part of the autonomic nervous system, which is what I mentioned earlier. So it is related to flight or fight response. So if your sympathetic nervous system is continually activated through the suppression of emotions, you are essentially staying in a heightened state of alert. And over time, this stress-induced state is what can create anxiety, depression, and can even affect your heart function. So when people talked about elevated blood pressures due to states of stress, because your sympathetic nervous system is affected through the suppression of emotions, essentially is creating that same effect. Lastly, you may also be strengthening or fortifying a negative emotion by suppressing it. So, which speaks to the fact that if you do not give it voice, if you do not give your emotions voice, this can lead to overreactions. So this can look like someone having an emotional meltdown or even an emotional explosion. And this can occur because your body is essentially becoming overwhelmed with the emotion or emotions that you're suppressing. So it's clear, there are reasons why someone may suppress emotions, but there's a danger to doing so. Hopefully you can see that ultimately the best course of action for sustained mental, emotional, and physical health is not to suppress your emotions or keep them bottled up. So thanks for tuning in. Keep tuning in. Every episode of Therapy with Tasha can bring you something new and informative. And I'll see you next week.